Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I'll take my speech at the beginning and try to express my thoughts, but being much bolder in terms of what's the real role of people in the way we treat people, the way we design our humanity project, considering the crowd economy as an enabler of what we call the humanity project. Otherwise, we're going to fail. This is my big, bold message at the beginning. We should consider much broader the role of people, inclusive models, in order to really have a new model being developed by the world in terms of what we really expect for the future of this world. And I think this is very, very important. It's not about technology. I'm going to talk about platform is just enable, but the way we foresee our role as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, as government leaders, as fathers, as mothers, as sisters, as brothers, I think it's much more broader than we have ever experienced before. And ItsNOON it's a big dream, and the name reflects the midday. It's the moment of enlightenment when no one overshadows anyone else, and no one steals the lights of others. So it's the moment of piracy, where everybody is in the same level playing field, and everybody can express what everybody has, what every human being has, is the subjective part of the human being, the untapped potential subjective part of the human being that we have never experienced in the big potential that we have ahead. When we talk about, I was talking with Sean and EP about that, I really like the concept of crowd economy because we're not talking only about sourcing, funding, but we are talking about a structure change, a big, big structure change ahead that will redefine the way we deal with each other and the way we interact with the entire resource, the amount of resources we have in the world. And what is critical about that is not only the way the society is spontaneous, evolving, but how the institutions are not evolving themselves and it's being a bottleneck in terms of the development of the society that we are trying to design. And on the end of the game, what is really important here is I have a saying of a Portuguese author that he said once that man didn't come to life to be a producer, but a creator. And I think this is very important because everybody wants to be a protagonist. Everybody wants self-authorship. And I think this is the big opportunity that we have ahead in terms of redesigning the system. And that's what, for me, crowd economy is all about. And I think we are living this structural change based on three pillars that are entering a crisis in the same moment, and we're gifted as a society to be heading and to have the accountability to lead this process in terms of transforming our system, because three main elements of our system are in crisis in the same moment, and when we figure out that this happens, it's a big system change ahead. And if we're talking about the crisis in communication, the way we communicate and social media and internet and all the other stuff that we have ahead, the crisis in energy matrix and logistics. All the thoughts that we have here in terms of platform thinking is trying to address, if not the three of those, probably one or at least two of these issues in terms of problem solving. What is happening? We use people go to work, now work goes to people. What a great opportunity we have ahead. We have trainings, but we have now a global classroom. I think this is one of the biggest changes we have ahead. We are changing our society from a property-based society to access-based society. This is a big shift. The winner takes all. We have talked a lot about compensation and all that stuff, transparency, ethic. It's time for lots of winners. a society of losers and winners, for me at least, is over as a perspective. So everybody can be a winner. And if we don't consider that, we are not building the crowd economy. And I think the role of consumerism is changing. This is, for me, is one of the big opportunities in terms of the shift, is where the budget is. We used to have a model that was based on telling aspirational stories about people that are not on our value chain, like the formal advertising, formal marketing. We actually invite someone that was not on their relationship to tell a story to convince my consumer. But it's much easier right now. Invite your consumer to tell the story, and he will become a prosumer. Invest the money that you're investing in advertising and all the other stuff to tell the true stories about the people that have the real relationship with you, and pay for it. And spread the news all over the world. It's easier. It's more effective. Planning strategies, we are shifting for doing. I like this store that this guy made in my hometown in Salvador, Bahia, Brazil. He didn't know what to do, but he was trying to sell bikinis on the streets. And he designed his own store. And this is really critical because he doesn't need sunblock. He has already in place. He can show all the bikinis. And what I figured out is the ladies, he sells in the beaches, tropical country, and the ladies could try the bikinis in the beach. So it's almost a perfect example of design that was based on the necessity to make a living. And I think this is really critical, and I think this untapped potential is something that we really need to take care of. But here comes the slide that for me is really, really, really challenging. And we are talking about what world are we designing ahead. And I think this is the big metric. This is the big bottleneck. This is also a message for VCs, funds, whatever. People that are concentrating money. 1% of the people owns 99% of the money of the rest of the world. And I have the question, do we have a crowd economy based on that? Is it possible? What kind of market your company is going to be in? You're going to be fighting for costs, scale, no innovation, churn. These are the things that you're going to discuss in a market like this. Where are you investing? I think this is a very bold message that came to Davos twice, and the Oxfam Foundation is researching this really, really tight. And this is a message not for me, for the crowd economy, but for the world, because if we are talking about crowd and we are not talking about the 99%, we are losing something. And I think this is something that every business leader, every government leader should be asking this question. For who I'm working for? What kind of wealth I'm generating? What kind of empowerment I'm generating in the society that I'm unleashing it? And getting Sean's slide and remixing it, getting the boxing out of it and bringing the Aikido to the scene that I think is something that is really critical. The people are already connected this way. And I think this is the desire is there. The people are already trying to move the economy. I think in small villages, in tribal societies, this is how it worked. But now is the question, where's your company in this transition? Where's your government? Where's your institution in this transition? And the big opportunity is, if you are talking about an access-driven economy, we are talking about a zero marginal cost society, a near zero marginal cost society. We are talking about a big, big, big opportunity of reducing fixed costs and transferring most of the fixed costs to variable costs, to a much more fluid society. And I think this is where the big opportunity is. Being flexible, training Aikido, being much more water. Like Bruce Lee, be like water, my friend. This is what we do in terms of what do we do and what's our role in this scene is to enable companies and institutions in the transition. Let me be bold about that. We need to work the transition, and this is key. Otherwise, we're going to lose all the value that we have created since now. So it's very critical to design technology that's going to take us from a decentralized, or probably some of the times we have a centralized model, but a decentralized model to a distributed model. And the role we have done for the previous almost 15 years is try to understand this on the grassroots level, trying to design the technology that's going to enable that. And there are two key elements on this technology: is the technology and the compensation system that is going to generate a distributed economic power in our society. And we have a bold purpose on that. And this is our purpose. Create collaborative spaces in which work, income, and knowledge are accessible and flow among people, organization, and company, generating shared value, social dignity, and economic evolution. How we do that? We have built an API that have three elements in this API that can enable organizations to build their own platforms. We are a platform of platforms. And mainly our backend, we were just discussing this in the previous conversation, everybody is very warmed up on that, is how to build your own community based on your purpose, your interest, your brand, whatever you think. How to develop a multi-way communication with different formats, and I think this is really critical in terms of inclusive models, because you have different literacy levels, especially if you're talking about countries like Brazil, India, Latin America, China, many other big countries that we need that have most of the time oral tradition. We should think about that. Africa, how the people that have oral tradition how can we tap that knowledge? How can we make the unexpected connection? We haven't made it before. How can we go beyond the traditional format of an Anglo-Saxon way of thinking and developing knowledge to really have an inclusive model that is going to tap everybody to this discussion and building this humanity project that is our big challenge. And on the end of the game, we're talking about a financial flow, a compensation. We have just worked, we have done 350 projects. All of the projects were paid crowdsourcing. We've never done something that we ask people for ideas and we don't pay the ideas of the people. Because at the end of the game, the people are profiting out of that. And we should really be careful of exploring people. And this is really critical. In terms of this ecosystem, we have built lots of platforms over the ecosystem. The only one that we are not tapping yet, and I think it's not our focus, is the crowd equity, because it's very restricted in terms of its role. This is the platform, ItsNOON. This is the mother platform that we have developed. It's a crowdsourcing platform, a paid crowdsourcing platform with a payment system inside where we ask people information to solve issues of companies and institutions, and also content creation to communicate for companies and institutions. And I think this is where we learn over 5 years with a lot of mistakes and how to design it simple and very effective to scale up to other industries and other issues of our society. And we come up with, this is another platform we have developed for Santander, the bank. This is a very interesting case of prosumerism. Santander has a very interesting goal to generate financial education over the society. And they used to hire advertising agencies to tell the stories about what's financial education, how to teach, how you save money to study, to travel, and all that stuff. And they have figured out, why don't I get this money and put inside the platform and distribute this money for my consumers and potential consumers to start telling their true stories, and I pay for it. This is what they have done. They have done. And they have done this Conta Pra Mim. That is, it's a very unique model that they are generating job and income distributed all over Brazil. In the countryside, for almost 42,000 people in Brazil are receiving income, telling true stories about how they deal with money. This is another application where there is an issue about the returns to the clinics and to the hospital, and a group of doctors asked us to develop an application to avoid people that don't need to go to the hospital, to the clinic, to go there just to see the doctor. So we are with this reducing the time of logistics, people inside the cities, energy, and improving communication with that. And with this, we have a format that is going to improve a lot the relationship between doctors and their patients. And they have figured out that probably almost 80% of the people that return to the doctor, they don't need to return to the doctor. If they have a process that is going to handle the issue is going to be solved without the necessity of going to the doctor. This is an application for the largest wholesaler in Brazil. They have 350,000 points of sales all over Brazil, a continental country, with more than 10,000 people working on the sales team. And they have put their business on the timeline. They have a timeline of their business. So everybody knows what's going on. Everybody's sharing. They have developed their own Facebook focused on the sales approach and some of the issues that are related to their business, training, promotion, knowledge exchange. And they are, in a way, starting to design and redesign their culture as a group. This is another platform we made for the largest bottom of the pyramid bank that is co-creating solutions with their customer and paying for it. That is Tribanco. This is another project that we are starting to develop in Auckland, New Zealand. The South Auckland community, it's a community that is a little bit lower in the GDP, and the Auckland Council hired us to develop a platform to try to unleash through the creative potential of the community, trying to generate a new way of knowledge building and increase the GDP of the region. We are launching this project in probably 3 or 4 weeks, and we are very excited about it. We are heading the Olympic Games next year in Brazil. And one of our main athlete leaders, that is a Olympic medalist from Brazil, volleyball Olympic medalist, have hired us to develop a platform where she wants to leave a legacy and use the Olympic Games as a legacy to transform the way sports is being financed in Brazil. And we have developed a crowdfunding platform for them. But what is critical about this crowdfunding platform is a network crowdfunding. It's not the way Kickstarter or some of the known crowdfunding platforms that is, I'm a big guy, I'm the loser, losers are winners. So you generate an organic model where small sports entrepreneurs have the right to build their own platforms and start asking for a little amount of money where 10 people are going to start supporting, and they get to the point, they provide the feedback loop. You keep connected with the entrepreneur, and you keep on track on the evolution of every action. So it's a much more networked and sustainable model to do crowdfunding. And I think this is it. It's almost my time. And the last message is, I think this challenge is easier than we than we think it is, and it's a matter of detachment.
Right.
And let's make it happen.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you very much.
This is awesome. So a little cupcake for you here.